Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin with chapter 25, verse 10. Chapter 25, verse 10. First instruction, as we mentioned, the first instruction, as we mentioned yesterday, the first instruction God gives regards the Aron, because the Aron is the most important vessel in the Mishkan. V'yasu Aron atzei shitim. And they should make an Aron of cedar wood. Now, if you look in verse 11, it's you should plate it with gold. Verse 12, you should place four golden rings on it. By the way, jump ahead to verse 17, you should make the kapores. Everything is in the singular except the Aron. The Aron is referred to they, Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people should make the Aron. What's the story with that? So let's see the Ramban on Pasuk Yud. Sorry, I'm trying to find my Ramban on Pasuk Yud. Yeah, I know it's there. Give me one more second. Yes, Ramban on Pasuk Yud. Yasu Aron. Yachsu Abrei Yisrael Haniskarim Lamala. V'Yachrikein V'Tzipiso Sov Yotzaktalo. V'Kulan B'Blashon Yachid. So the first instruction is in the plural, and then after that, all the instructions are in the singular. Ki Moshe Keneged Kol Yisrael, because Moshe is paralleling all the Jewish people. So God says to Moshe, you should do this because Moshe is representing all the Jewish people. V'yitachin sheyirmos, but maybe it's more than that in terms of the language of the Aron. Maybe it's alluding to the fact Shu Kol Yisrael mishtatfin ba'asiyas ha'aron ba'avur shehu kadosh mishkanei elyon v'sheyisku kulam l'Torah. Maybe God is saying that specifically the Aron, being that that's really what represents God's divine presence, maybe that everybody should try to participate in, because that really represents the Jewish people's connection with God. The Medrash asks this question, why is it that when it comes to Aron, it's in the plural? Amr Yehuda Reb Shalom, Amr HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yavohu Akol, V'yisasku ba'Aron, Sheyizku l'Torah. So God says to Moshe, let everyone come and involve themselves with the Aron. Through involving themselves with the Aron, they merit a greater understanding of Torah. So how does everyone involve themselves with the Aron? Not everyone works with wood. Not everyone works with gold. How does everyone do it? So today we would say everyone should have a background involving the Aron. But that presumably is not the pshat. The intent, the meaning is, maybe everybody should take one gold vessel from their home, one gold item from their home, and donate it specifically for the Aron. Very interesting thing to think about. Whereas normally we just say, people just give what they have, what they feel comfortable giving. Every head of household gives a half a shekel, but after that, we're not keeping track. And we certainly don't keep track of where it all goes to. But maybe specifically for the Aron, everyone should bring one gold thing, no matter how small, that everyone should have a share in the creation of the Aron. Or maybe this is an amazing thing to think about. Maybe everybody should come and help with the Aron in a small way. Like even, it's a strange example, but even just to think about it for a moment, it's like Lo Aleinu, you go to a burial, right? So many people come forward to do a little bit of burial. Right now, the vast majority of the people are not the people really doing it, right? There's a smaller percentage of people really do it, but everyone participates in some small way. So maybe it's supposed to be that everyone participates in some small way for the Aron. Or that everyone should have great personal focus when it comes to the Aron. In other words, everyone should appreciate that the Aron is a seminal moment in the construction of the Mishkan. Interesting thing to think about. Okay, jumping far ahead to verse 25. Jumping far ahead to verse 25. V'yasisa lo miskeres tofach saviv. We are currently talking about the shulchan. The shulchan is the table. Many Mefarshim explain that the shulchan represents God's financial support for us, for the Jewish people. So around this table, So there are three primary vessels in the Mishnah: the Aron, the Ark, the menorah, which we're certainly familiar with, and the shulchan, the table. You should make a rim around the shulchan, and around that rim, like around the edge of the table, there should be a gold, literally a gold crown, but the point is like a little gold liner around the rim. Okay, there's a lot of ideas in the Mefarshim about symbolism within the aspects of the Mishkan. So this over here certainly is no different. Kliyakar Chavhei Vasisa Lo Miskeres Sheyiskor Baratavos Shlo Yelo Pesach Pasuach Eleim Ele Yiskor Ba'adam V'yitin Lahem Kitzvah. So Kliyakar is a really interesting idea here. He says, the table has a lot of representation. We just said the table represents financial well-being. Why does the table represent financial well-being? Presumably because the person puts food on the table. So there's financial support that's represented at the table. But if you think of the table as representing food, that means the table also represents pursuit of desires. In other words, it's a fine line in life between covering our needs and running after things that are extraneous and not appropriate. So the Kliyakar says around the table should be an outer rim as a sign. Miskeres, by the way, the shoresh, the root of miskeres is liskor, samach gemoresh, to close, as a sign that people frequently run after their desires without any limitations. And so we need to put a little bit of a fence, so to say, around the pursuit of desire in this world. Once I have this little rim around the table, then there's gold placed on the rim. What's the significance of that? Because a person who puts that rim around their desires, harehu ben chorin umelech, a person who overcomes their desires in this world is truly free and is governing over themselves, and they're a monarch over themselves. So zer, I think I said a moment ago that zer literally is a crown. So if you have, we don't just say put gold around the table, we say put a rim around the table, and that represents limitation of one's desires. But understand that once you limit your desires, there's a crown on you, because you've truly become in control of your life. A person who's always, breaking through limitations and breaking through appropriate limitations, is really an impoverished person. Vinaka lashon zer. So the language is a lashon of zer. This gold is referred to as a crown. Zacha nasalo zer v'keser. Because if the person rises to the occasion, this is symbolic of royalty. Lo zacha nasa zar v'nachri. Zayin reish could be a zer, a crown. Zayin reish could be zar, which is something strange, which means that if a person doesn't live their life with control and balance, then the assets that they do accrue will go to others, will become a stranger to them. That's the other point he makes. Okay, so that's the Kliyakar. Let's go on to the next Kliyakar, but let's first read the pasuk, verse 26. V'yasisa lo arbat sahav, and you should make four rings of gold for the table. And you should place those rings, one ring on each of the four corners of the table. What is the relevance, the symbolism of the rings? And by the way, they're also, as you can even see on Debbie's background, I think there are also rings for the Aron as well. If you see, that's where the poles are connecting. They look like rings. I mean, they're supposed to be rings. So what is the relevance of rings for the Aron and for the table? Kliyakar, Chavav, Yasisa lo arbat sahav, k'dei sheyiskor, ki hatzlachos ha'olam hazeh, him galgal hachozer ba'olam. Financial success in this world is a circle that goes round and round. Kitabaz zeh ha'agul, like a ring. circular. If I recognize that if a person has money in this world, that doesn't make them better than a person who doesn't have money in this world. Because the person who has money today might not have money tomorrow. And the person who doesn't have money today might have money tomorrow. So if I have that attitude, then it's certainly incumbent upon me, if I have money, it's certainly incumbent upon me to share it with others. So on the vessel of the Mishkan that represents financial success, there are rings to remind anyone who sees it or thinks about it that financial success is a circle. And that the intent of that message is to encourage us to share with others. Another thing to think about is that if a person does share with others, there's so much reward in the world to come. You know, if I have money, I could buy something for myself. I could buy something that's a consumable and then it's gone. I could buy something for myself and I use it for a while, but then it breaks, or I move on, or even if I have it for all of my life, at some point I leave this world and I don't benefit from it anymore. But if I do a mitzvah with my money, if I give charity with my money, then the benefit of that money lasts forever and ever because it stays with me for the world to come. So it's like the ring, it's like the circle never ends. So if I do the right things with my money, I'm investing in a way that will never end. We say by the ring, and that's verse 27, that's where by the rim, that's where the rings are. Because a person who reins in their desires, and they work hard, but they limit their pleasures from all their work. And a person is satisfied with that which God grants them. He's the one who remembers. A person who can place limits on their pursuit of desires, on the never-ending chase for money, a person who can place limits on these things, they get it. So the rings are specifically positioned by the rim, because the person who reins in their desires and their pursuit of desires understands the message of the ring. But a person who doesn't rein in their desires, and there's no limit to everything they do, and their eyes are not satisfied, this person can't think about the next world, right? If a person's desperately trying to figure out how to achieve more pleasures in this world, talk about the next world doesn't really resonate. So the rings by them aren't even going to help them. So the rings are specifically placed by the rim. So we discussed this morning the Ramban's explanation as to why the mitzvah of the Aron, of building the Aron, is in the plural. We discussed the Kli Yakar regarding the symbolism of the rim around the Shulchan, and we had one pshat of the Kli Yakar regarding the symbolism of the rings at the Shulchan. I'm terribly sorry. Okay,